Hello there everyone, and welcome back to Master of Command. There was an update, and I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't be able to load my save, but I was able to load the old saves, so that is fine. A major update though has happened, because instead of the enemy HQ arriving on day 145, it now arrives on day 102. So that's only 6 days away. And if I am to gain anything more in preparation, I need to head into new lands. So supply cache up here. What do I need here? I need cash, so I can buy stuff ahead of the enemy attack. We'll have to fight a smaller force. Perhaps not the best to do before the big fight, but if I play this well, I might just be able to get a lot of resources that I need before the coming battle. With that said, let's go ahead and fight this battle. And so the battle is underway. Unfortunately, there's just so few units that trying to like specifically trying to hunt these guys down is gonna be actually pretty hard, in terms of just that there's so few of them they'll break so quickly that it's kind of unlikely that I'll get a proper battle out of this. What I will do though is I'll allow the lights to fire once, or keep firing actually, and then as the enemy is coming forward here, if I can unnerve him or get him to move towards the, yeah, like that, and then the cannons should actually hold fire at this point. If I can get my men to quickly break and charge after them like that, then perhaps we can get a load of kills. Now they're sending in their cavalry, unfortunately. So I think the battle will be, unfortunately the battle will be over quicker than I thought. Right, go ahead and go after them. Alright, the battle was over a lot quicker. I think, I mean, there wasn't much to be done, because perhaps if I had deployed them in a way that I would be able to separate the enemy force. I don't know. Anyways, it was a quick victory, and hopefully we didn't actually suffer that much. 210 gold, that's pretty good. We still, even with that, the way we fought, we lost 240 men. We took almost 2,000 enemies captured. 1,890. And plenty of different things here. Now, what someone said was that I should actually save some of these, like the silver gorget and uniforms and flags, that I should save it, because sometimes you run into events on the map that if you have one of those, you can trade it actually for a unit. This close to the battle, gold, it would be good, because if I have enough gold to like buy a new artillery piece for the one that only has 6-pounder, which is GMT, that could make a lot of difference in the final battle. But at the same, yeah, I probably should do that, because I don't have anyone that would, like, right now immediately be upgraded to anything. So we're actually unusually here going to go for ransom. And then I'm gonna go ahead and replenish this brigade, which was, as it does minus for individual units, it's hard to see how much you actually spend on that. Oh, that's not what I'm supposed to do. We'll add ramrods, which will allow you to reload faster. Covering base, and then tobacco, of course, which will increase your accuracy. Stamina should really be for cavalry, because they're going to be running a lot. And then basic ramrods. Do I have a unit that has little of anything? All the units are pretty good. I figure I should... I'm a little bit worried because the light unit is the one that the brigade commander is attached to. So I'm a little bit worried about having them attached to that unit, just because they'll easily be run over and killed in battle. Right, so we are on day 99. There's 3 days left. I'll march down here. We'll gain some reinforcements or some reservists. And while I would keep these, actually I should sell them in a town where I actually can buy some more substantial things. Max range increased by 15. That would actually be rather good, wouldn't it? The thing though is items cost in this town, it's actually 15%, so perhaps I should march on to the next one. Right, the enemy is on our heels now. Perhaps I should risk it and go out here. Starving garrison. Provide them with enough food, or offer them... I have food and I'm not gonna provide them with enough food. Right. So that didn't really do anything more than waste food for me, which wasn't that great. Heading into this town though. If I head into a bigger town, I might be able to... Well, I do have enough, I guess, to recruit a new unit, but the thing is, a new unit will not do anything for me. Do we have, let's see, for the ammo of the units, perhaps this artillery piece. Also, when cover is really for protection against enemy artillery fire, but perhaps I should give it to units like the lights instead. So I should give them the protection. So we'll put stakes in front of them, so that gives a little bit more of charge resistance. And then for this artillery, I could instead get one of these boxes to reduce movement speed. I want to move my artillery though up to a hill pretty rapidly, so we're gonna go for this one. We can sell the boots. And then it's kind of unlikely that I'll use canister, but we'll do it like that. Right, where the enemy is over there, they're gonna march all the way around there. Well, you know what? I cheated and checked the fort last time. Perhaps we'll... Your Grace suddenly advance upon... Yes, this is exactly what happened last time. So, Your Grace, suddenly, when I cheated, Your Grace, our sudden advance has bore unexpected fruit. The enemy's forward command post has been taken by surprise. Its staff scattered before the alarm could be sound, and we captured officers. Well, I could gain an officer, but I already have officers, so we gained 100 gold from that. That's pretty darn good. And I do have enough to purchase one extra regiment. Now I'm kind of wanting to go up here. The question is, these guys are moving really fast. Perhaps instead, to continue marching for as long as possible, I might head down here instead. Where we have, so this one has popular support, so everything costs a lot less here. I definitely do not have enough to gain a bigger piece of artillery, which would be... Wait. The range on this one is 400, this one is 450, but it's 600. If I sell this one, I get 430. Powder house. Should I get something from over here instead? I guess we can receive one more regiment. But I wonder if that's going to aid a lot, or if he's just going to be cannon fodder. It could be good just to have, like, him standing secondary behind the rest of the lines, and just to pad my entire army with more units. So we gained a new unit there, Cantonist recruits. I should go ahead and give that to a premium member. And then we'll continue on the march. Also, I mistakenly has named these musketeers. They are not musketeers. They're Jägers, or early Jägers. They are Freiinfanterie. They're not Jägers yet. Someone suggested that the best musket to get for the Jägers is in fact the Charleville musket. So far, I haven't really been paying attention, but I don't think I've seen a Charleville musket. I think this is stuff that I've sold in from previous battles. Right, let's go ahead and rename that guy and then continue on. I don't think I'll get much further because these guys are advancing really rapidly. But perhaps I'll be able to find something more down here. Actually, it might be good to sit here with the hills behind me, so I'll be starting with a pretty good position with hills behind me. Could be potentially pretty good. And also, with that extra unit that I just added on, I bring my entire force up to 10,000, so in absolute numbers we are now at the same level. Right, so next up to be put in command of a unit is Berlin Badger. So Berlin Badger has now gotten a unit here in 3rd Brigade. With that, I guess we'll just set up forage, or actually drill, gain some veterancy, army replenishment, campaign visibility. We'll lose ammo, but I have plenty of ammo and the enemy isn't that far away, so we might as well. And I do have quite a bit of money. Actually, we gained a ton of experience from that. Like, I saw it pop up as like 2,000 and stuff. Anyways, here's the fight. They only outnumber us by about 500 men. The thing though is, what it looks like is a lot of their units are a lot more experienced than my troops. They still have a lot of like Crownland recruits and stuff. But my main concern is the fact that I've got 3 pieces of artillery. And one of the pieces looks like it's a unicorn piece. Which is pretty nasty. And they got 5 units of cavalry. The fact that it's stacked cavalry and cannons means that since I am infantry heavy, it's like the perfect like mix to force me and not enable me to charge them down or like go heavy in on the attack, because they'll be quick with cavalry on the counter charges and break up my formations as we march forward. And even as we march forward, their cannons will be hounding me and destroying the formations as we attack. So I mean, in terms of cannons, I definitely have enough. What I didn't have enough of is cavalry. I only have 2 units, which is way too little. I believe someone in the comments, it might have been Lindstrom actually, recommended at least 1 cavalry unit for each brigade. And right now I've kind of gone for the old style of how the units were set up, where you had, you know, 1 infantry brigade, 1 cavalry brigade, and 1 cannon brigade, while I should be going for more what Napoleon introduced, which were these brigades that have, or army units that could act, smaller units that could act independently because they had cannons, they had cavalry, they had infantry, that where you had all these elements put under command of 1 guy in the sort of in the brigade. And that would allow, or not necessarily on the brigade level, but that would allow for the more of a combined arms fighting than previously, where you might have the overall command of the infantry going to 1 guy with the cannons on another guy and so on. And obviously there would be, you know, personal rivalries and stuff like that that would interfere here, instead of having 1 guy that basically has all the piece of the puzzles together, that he can lay the puzzle for himself in the attack. So perhaps that's what I should have been going for, sort of Napoleonic style rather than this sort of old style of conducting. But enough talking, let's go ahead and fight. Right, let's go ahead and beat these Austrian bastards. And here we are on the field of battle, and what we're looking at is actually unicorns, those red. Now I'm not entirely sure these fire explosive shot, they fire explosive shot in Empire, and, well, actually they're featured in Napoleon. They're not featured in Empire, I don't think. Shell damage is 50. It is considerably higher to what the other pieces are, so... But not that much more than the 12-pounder. So perhaps it's not explosive shots, but it is a impressive gun. Now, we have 2 things stacked against us. They have more artillery and they have more cavalry. My advantage is infantry, but my advantage is infantry is not necessarily strong enough that I would go straight on toe-to-toe with this and try and just force my way straight through this. So what my plan is I'm gonna split my force, which is normally what you're not supposed to do. Normally you're not supposed to split your force against a superior enemy, but this is what I have decided to do. So what my plan is my artillery and the weaker part of the army will advance on this side, and then the cover from the river will make it harder for the enemy to quickly overrun and charge these down. And I will advance this one first, with this one advancing later. The enemy, I imagine, since they have artillery superiority, might not actually go on the advance, but I'm not entirely sure. Because so far I've never seen an AI take defensive position. So I imagine they still might be willing to attack us. Anyways, my plan here is that I will set up a forward position of the weaker part, and they will be covered by the river, so no quick assaults across the river by the enemy. They will line themselves towards this, so they will advance along this line, kind of, towards them. And that is when the stronger part of the army slams into the side and forces them away. Now this could go extremely horrible, and so I'm kind of reluctant to move all the cavalry over here. So I want to kind of keep... Actually, Lindstrom is not the faster cavalry unit. So the hussars should probably be on this side to quickly kind of move towards this side. Anyways, that is my plan for now. That is my plan. Perhaps I should actually bring the smaller artillery piece with that, and that be flanking fire as well. But I might need that to just strengthen this entire side. Anyways, here goes nothing. Right, artillery pieces forward. The two new weaker units. The lights. I should probably put the king here as well. And then we have the stronger part of the army situated here. So right now they're definitely marching towards the stronger part of the army. But I'm hoping here that the enemy will start to kind of fade. I mean, if they continue towards the stronger part of the army, that will work as well. My cannons will then lay inflating fire from a position here against the enemy. So I do have a slight advantage for my artillery, is that my strongest piece does outrange the enemy, but only very slightly. Perhaps better to move closer towards the bridge. And then I have the Freikorps, Ned Sellers, and then I've got the recruits under Berlin Badger. Two very weak units. And then the lights. This side could easily be sent away if a determined cavalry charge were put their way. Right. Hopefully this will work out. Looks like their heavy artillery piece, or the two artillery pieces, seems to now be turning this way. Okay, so more units are now... Ah, look at that. Their entire army is now turning. Right, the cannons will deploy where they stand. The infantry units will advance ahead of that, together with the lights. The general has arrived. He will set up right behind the artillery. The artillery will now go ahead and deploy. They will not fire at will. Heavy guns should train themselves on the enemy heavy artillery. Right, give them hell. Okay, so early on, first shot did very little to the enemy force. They are lining up here as their position right now. Time to get this side moving. Lindström's Dragoons will start to threaten that side. We received our first counterfire by the enemy. We lost 67 men in one shot by the enemy guns. Not very good. They're moving both the guns through each other here, so I'm hoping for perhaps a little bit more casualties as we continue on. Here comes the second shot. Kind of a miss again. So I'm not liking that. The heavy guns will now train themselves on the closer unit. I think we actually dropped some of these guys. They have very good cover back there. Right, my troops are advancing. And these guys are nowhere near ready to try and strike. at my stronger position as it is right now anyways. Oh, that gun is absolutely just tearing us apart. Is there better cover if I go closer to that hedgerow? Right, my artillery is trying to blast their side, but we are doing very poorly at that. They're once again turning to face this side. But at this point they are in fact slightly outmaneuvered by me. A little bit better cover. I'm actually gonna move the general now up here, so the bonus, his morale bonus, is turning off to everyone. Alright, they're starting to fire at some of their troops here. Sobakorn and Majovsky will extend their lines, but we will continue as planned. The enemy is not really sure what to do. My cannon shots keep ripping into them here, while they are unsure if they to turn this way or they are to turn against this way. Okay, so we rode into that and we ended up losing 50, 60-ish men, but now they wasted their volley. And my men are still coming on strong. Right, we have to continue here, guys. So the cavalry will ride up and unnerve this unit right here. And before they are able to fire, I will hold them fire. I can hear heavy shots of the enemy's artillery, but I think we're gonna have to leave our position here to try and attack these, because the units I have right now cannot do it on their own, as it were. Alright, you're gonna have to hold. You're gonna have to turn against that. You turn against that. Straight forward. Straight forward. They're still pretty strong in morale. Oh, now Lindstrom actually has a position right behind them. Okay, the enemy is advancing towards this position with some troops, right? Shattered. Soldiers forward. What is our artillery doing? Doing fine for now. I do note that we've got... I forgot someone. The Hussars. Right, the enemy is shattered. We'll have to recall the Jutland Dragoons. Okay, so we do have the enemy kind of moving in an attack direction there. I will turn this unit, and the Hussars is moving in. Unfortunately, at this point, my dragoons are too tired. Okay, so now... Okay, the lights have to retire. But I basically want everyone now to reposition themselves to take on the cavalry which is coming across here. There's 2 cavalry units coming across. Oh, I'm being charged over here. I need to say so. What's it called? Corn. Forward here. Oh, they're sending over 2 cavalries. Not good. Oh, they're going for the king. King will retire. Try to anyways. No, the king was forced away. God damn it. The Hussars arrived in time there. Sobakorn is gonna have to be moved further back. This is not good. This entire position is kind of falling apart. The enemy is coming across. No, I want you to just... What am I selecting here? No, back. Crush that one that's trying to come across. There's a charge going on. Even if you're tired, are you able to perhaps move in a position where we might... This position is like crazy. Okay, let's see. Stuart completely surrounding the enemy hussars, which are now forced into retreat. And then immediately you should form line and shoot that unit down. Meanwhile, I've actually broken that unit, opening up for Majovsky, I think it is? No, it's Wyatt. To start moving towards the enemy artillery. Move fast, damn you, cavalry. You're getting shot in the flank. Not good. They keep turning to face the face my cavalry. Right. Along the hedge line, if you please. Okay, those guys were forced down. The hussars forward here. Both artillery. Oh, we forced those guys away. Good. All artillery will now face that way. Oh shit! Counter charge, damn you! No, god damn it! You will hold fire and wait for the cavalry. Be within range to fire upon. The hussars should make. The hussars should make an attempt right towards the enemy artillery and get rid of all of that. Tired and exhausted troops. Let them come a little bit closer. Unfortunately, Lindström's Dragoon is going to take some damage in that. He's shattered, unfortunately. I ordered these guys to fire at will. Are you not at full fire, damn you? Right, hussars go in. Why aren't you firing? Save Lindström's Dragoons, goddamn you. Hussars have gone in. And they will now shatter what remains of the enemy cannons. Oh, and we are victorious. The king almost died. Lindström's Dragoons savagely cut to pieces, but important fight. And then I think it was the Freikorps that also was sent away. The hussars should have been moved in quickly, more decisively, early on towards their artillery once most of their enemy's cavalry was gone, so that was a clear mistake. But I was concerned that the fighting of the infantry here would not, that Sobakorn wouldn't hold because he had lost half his unit. So I was afraid he wouldn't hold, so I wanted to charge him perhaps there. But I think my strategy paid off ultimately, because I won, and I have not gotten this far before. Well, I've only played this for a few days at this point. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at statistics, shall we? 50 battles won, Colonel, and 10,100 men deployed on our side against 10,600 deployed on the enemy side. We ended up losing 3,000 men, while the enemy lost about 4,000, or 3,900 to be exact. We have an army of 7,000 men remaining. We killed 3,800. Yada yada yada. We captured a whopping 5,000 enemies. I don't know how I managed to do that, because I clearly did not charge down the enemy anywhere close to what I thought it would. Majovsky is the highest killer. No, actually, it is Wyatt who is the highest killer at 638. Majovsky follows right behind at 609. Sobakorn at 428. Freikorps at about 200. Prussian Fusiliers 300. James Stewart at 425. Artillery 371. Artillery, though, was focused on counter-battery fire for most part. Lindström's Jutland Dragoons, very heavy losses, unfortunately. Took the brunt of the amount of kills or amount of losses. 1st Brigade and Jutland Dragoons. Right. I don't know what happens after this point. Do we get to... I kinda know a little bit. I think we get switched to a new map. Like we get to, you know, choose something else, like invade Poland or whatever. Something along those lines. I figure veterancy is what we need here. So... Von Nassau gets a point. Now I'm not gonna waste it this time like I did last time around. Veterancy gained, morale, charge, cover, efficiency. This is for the artillery. He has the artillery in his brigade. I feel like confident. It only gives like positive bonus, so I think that's the it thing to do. Right. I can add out a lot of this. I feel like bayonets is probably a good thing, because a lot of units have shit bayonets. Not that I've used bayonets to good effect throughout this. Okay, so we almost ran out of... We're gonna run out of manpower, of course. Reservists go down to 0. But let's see, is there anyone here that is able to actually upgrade the artillery here? Can actually become Prussian horse artillery. The advantages here is speed and reload. I don't know, is there a point why you wouldn't want to do that? So, yes. Horse artillery. Good. That means that we can move those bastards really fast, I imagine. So, compare that to the other piece, which moves at 16. This one now moves at 31. Okay, so that's a major impact. Anyone else here? This one, Majovsky, is now finally able to be veteran musketeers. Perhaps the Majovsky should become grenadiers. I do not have any grenadiers. So should I get a grenadier? I've not used charges to good effect. I'm relying a lot on shooting down my enemy. We should have at least one grenadier, right? And Majovsky, if you remember far back, I can't remember what campaign we had, but Majovsky's grenadiers, he had a grenadier unit in Total War, and they fought from like a unit of 200-300 or something down to like 50, and they didn't retreat. They fought until the very end, until they were relieved by friendly units. So I mean, yeah, we'll go with... Oh, he needs 6 points for that. Right, he'll be grenadier sooner or later. Lindström needs 1 more point until he can be proper dragoon. And you can be upgraded to Prussian land milice, but I don't really see a point to that right now. I'm kind of going the safe route by going a load of Prussian musketeers. Or perhaps I should wait and actually upgrade you to a cavalry unit. I'm thinking 3rd Brigade will be like a cavalry brigade. So we need another cavalry unit for that. Right. Conquer the first region as Prussia. Choose your doctrine. So we get a doctrine that we can choose. Oblique order. Flanking fire does 20% more damage. Infantry focus. Infantry veterans gained 20%. No infantry veterans gained. That's not as good. Offensive spirit. Melee damage. We have not really relied on charges. Of these, I figure that actually oblique order is probably the best if we continue. I mean, this entire last battle was reliant kind of on a flank attack, even though it was ultimately, I think the idea was good. It was just not executed very well, unfortunately. Oblique order is what I think we'll do. Freikorps volunteer unlocked. An army within state. Right. So, for this second fight, we have reinforce Brandenburg, reinforce Silesia, or suppress Franconia. I note that the two armies here are Russian, and there's a bias against the Russians. I think the Russians are shit, generally speaking. So I think I want to go for that. In terms of the bonuses we get for each one of these is reinforce 4 outposts. I figured that would be rather easy. Reward, we get a Bayerischen Dragoons or Bayerusch. I don't know. I think it's Bavarian. Just another way of saying it. Secure battlefields and reinforce outposts. And we get Dragoon, which is what I'm looking for. So I'm thinking reinforce Brandenburg. Yes. And we'll fight Russian forces. I think it's both Russian forces, or is it Russian and Austrian? 2 different types of Russian eagles. We might want to see it on the map here as well, just because it looks cool. Okay, so right in the heartland. And yeah, there is 2 Russian flags. That is exactly what we'll do. We'll head to Brandenburg. Temperatures plummet. General, the army stands upon the new frontier. The enemy has used the lull to prepare patrols flood the roads, and field armies will begin hunting us once we've made our presence known. The year has turned cold early. Within weeks, snow will be irregular and March will be slow. Lay in provisions and firework and expect to fight in winter throughout this country. Secure your supply depots. Do not linger. Press the advance before your supply diminishes. Right. So, similar as before, we got new. A new map to march on. But this time around, it's going to be harder for us. What we need to do is secure outposts. So outposts we've seen before. I can't see one now, but then we also need to secure battlefields. So there's a battlefield here. There's a battlefield over there. So there's 3 battlefields up top. There's an outpost. So we need to secure 4 of those. So there's 3 here. There's a 4th battlefield. And there's an outpost. There's outpost behind the enemy army. There's another battlefield over there. If I am to get all battlefields... Now, these are the battlefields we can see, but it's clear that I should be going north because there's 3 battlefields up there. This time around we have 140 days. I don't know if that will change. The update last time around kind of crushed that. And given the time of the episode, though, I will end it right here. I just wanted to begin and start talking here. Hopefully, given how hard the last battle is, I'm not in the... There's actually a battlefield right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there are, it's reasonably easy to get at, actually. Right. Let's not linger here. I figure the episode is already long as it is. So, I will say, like I always say, hopefully you guys enjoy this, and hopefully I'll see you guys for the next one. Bye.